2008, we've had just a copy of the Selectmen's meeting. Before, they used to just tape over the previous tape, which is crazy, that's a public record, so. I've been taking all those tapes and archiving them onto DVD, so should anyone ever need a meeting from the past 2 years, we have them on DVD for everyone. But we do know we need to grow and do some repair work here. And again, we're waiting for our next set of capital grants to actually invest that into, updating this and the school community setup as well. There are some of our plans. I'm not sure how well we'll be able to do this because I've been pricing it up. I'd like to get some sort of remote cameras for here. It's not science fiction. It's actually they're common nowadays, but they're just expensive. They're about $6,000 a camera. If you want to have 3, so figured 1 straight ahead so you can see the viewing audience who's talking at the podium, and then maybe 1 in each corner to get both sides of the panel. That'd be great. Some mics. I mean, these work. They could be better, and there could be more of them. So I'd actually like to get 1 for each person at the panel. Again, it's a $500 mic, so do the math. But again, these are things we'd like to do, and we'd like to actually invest in and make things better. It's not an instant process where it just go right out to Walmart and buy the parts. You just can't do it that way. So, but we're trying, and we understand where we have to grow. And then go into our regular programming. I mean, we went from having 10 hours of programming a week to about 16 hours a day per channel. So that was another thing. I mean, you can't not put anything on the air. That's what you're supposed to do. You're an access channel. You're supposed to provide programming. So that's been a big issue, and I figure once we have more and more public interest and public involvement, we'll have plenty more programming to put on the air. So, especially once we have a studio space open, we can actually have people come in and do studio-related programming, whether it's someone wants to do, I don't know, a cooking show, if they want to discuss, like, political issues, anything at all. Music, you have a music program, why not? The sky's the limit with public access. So, with our bulletin board system, we replaced all that equipment, so now we actually have a nice, clean, circulating bulletin board. You can actually read the messages and not, I don't know, the old system just wasn't very good, so we've replaced that. And we've just been trying to look at other methods of acquiring programming. You can get stuff off the internet now. The state has the Mass TV project, which is a lot of the affiliated local access channels all provide programming. It gets uploaded to a server where other stations can just download it free of cost. There are some services like that, but they are for cost to download, but still it's a minimal cost, it's like 50 cents a download. But there is programming like that. But we're also streaming stuff. Classic Art Showcase was very popular, but once we moved, we couldn't get our satellite signal from the old MSET satellite behind the high school over. So we did find that there's a program stream online through, I believe it's University of California, Berkeley, that streams it. So we just had to find a proper computer, put in proper video cards that actually will mate up with our playback system. And then finally, I guess, just I know time's of the essence, we have a set of goals for next year, which is, well, this year actually, is to finish the studio, have a big membership drive, expand upon our staff and our hours of operation, try to just get increased community involvement, try to improve upon the systems that are in place for meeting coverage. I mean, before, that used to be on a table in a little cart, and it was a big sprawling mess, and we had that spare rack, we brought it over here, John Welsh helped me do that, and I filled it up, wired it up, and the rest is history. So, but I mean, again, I'd like to, increase more locally originated programming, just give people a sense of pride in the town and the community, and just develop a series of media-based programs for the youth as well. I mean, we'd like to get a lot more youth involvement. I mean, they are our future, and they're an important part of the community. So that's it. Does anyone have any questions?
I have.
Sure.
I was looking at your budget.
Yep.
And it leaves some questions in my mind, and,
Sure.
and also something I think that should be brought back to your board.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would be appropriate for us to see a balance sheet annually.
Sure, sure.
okay? And then, when you talk about estimated operational income, it would be nice to break that down into what comes from Comcast and Verizon, because that's one of the licensing issues that we deal with,
Right, right.
periodically, versus, and then maybe a line item for what your dues, and then what you've raised for programming, so that we can get a better picture of
Oh, yeah.
how things are going from that point of view. And then as
The
I,
rates for program is in like cost or?
no, I'm talking about on your income side first.
On your revenue side.
On your
Right, right.
revenue
We
side.
don't develop any revenue, we're a nonprofit. We just get our franchise fees and that's it. I don't charge to put programming on the air or anything like that,
So it's only the franchise fee, period,
period. I mean, there's dues,
The
but.
dues.
and
yeah, that's
dues.
it. Yeah, so,
Well, and
Well,
break
the
those two up.
PEG local access payment comes to you guys?
yeah, that's the franchise fees,
Yeah, that,
correct?
yeah.
Yeah,
Well, typically.
Well, then break it between Verizon and.
Oh, sure.
Okay,
yeah, absolutely.
No, Rob, the franchise fee is a payment based upon the number of people at 50 cents per head equals
Right,
a check.
right.
It would run your operation for about 20 days. So it's not a large amount of money.
Right, actually, we had $201,000 for, operational fees from the franchise.
From the franchise.
Right, breaking that down, yeah, I mean, my pay comes out of it, our benefits, pay for our meeting coverage, our operational expenses, I mean, it's all broken down here, occupancy, travel, professional fees if we have to like consult, attorney or anything like
Yeah,
that.
it's not the expenses necessarily,
Right.
It's just the income, just the
Right.
how much from Comcast, how much
Oh,
from
sure.
Verizon,
All right,
and then how much you get from the dues.
all right,
so this operating income, this $201,000 is basically expected income for this fiscal year or calendar year.
that's pretty much what we got last year, yeah.
And you're on a calendar or a fiscal year?
I believe it's January to January,
Okay, so it's
Yeah.
calendar year, okay.
yeah, calendar year. But we get our franchise grants, the two startup grants that were part of the whole franchise agreement, we got those in two separate sums. We got one, in 2008 when we started,
Mhm.
we got the first part of the second one just this January, we're waiting for the next half of it in June. So it's kind of a little offset in the timing, but it does make sense, so.
So that's for capital? Or are you
That is
including
the-
it in your operational income?
That was actually on top of the operational income. That's actually a separate line item that we didn't have like a.
I guess that's why I'm looking for a balance sheet
Right.
and
Oh, yeah.
full
Yeah.
budget.
That's not a problem.
And
I
then,
can-
does the Board of Directors approve the budget when you submit it?
Yep.
Okay. So there's an actual vote of the
Oh, yeah,
board?
we went over this and discussed it, and this works, so.
Okay.
You know.
I think the gentleman behind Rob that you can't see
I
wants
can't,
to.
Theo?
You wanna
Theo.
say something, Theo?
My only remark was the 50 cents per subscriber per year goes to the town of North Reading, does not come to Norcan. That's a separate amount that the town itself gets, so that worked.
If you can believe it, we received it today.
Yeah.
Nice.
Really? Oh, good.
So you've got
Nice.
good timing.
Nice.
yeah, no, I realize that. But then it gets transferred to,
No, it does not.
Does not.
stays-
That stays.
That stays with the town.
That's the town revenue. It's 50 cents per subscriber
Per year.
annually per year.
per
Which goes to the town.
subscriber of Comcast or Verizon?
Correct.
Okay, all right.
So that's about
That's a separate
2,000
fee, okay.
Round numbers,
yeah.
about $2,200 a year.
Okay, that's what Greg was referring to.
Right, and that stays with the town, and
Yeah.
that helped cover the expenses of the contracts that the town's lawyer and so forth covered.
So it doesn't go into Norcam's books at all?
No, we
No.
don't see that money.
No, not at all.
Okay.
That's
Yeah,
separate.
I had a quick
That's-
question.
Yes, Jeff.
Do you, is no one allowed to do any advertising on the,
Not in the traditional sense, no.
can they do it through sponsorship?
They can do sponsorship and underwriting following like the PBS guidelines. We don't quite have that in place yet. We just wanna make sure all the legalese is set in place and not doing anything out of the ordinary, so. It's a very touchy issue. We'd rather not jeopardize our nonprofit status. That's why we've been hesitant about diving right into that headlong. Cause I mean, in legal speaking, you can interpret a contract any way, but you wanna make sure you have a good, solid contract, so you don't jeopardize the well-being of the organization, so.
What if somebody wanted to campaign on?
Campaign, I kind of try to stay as apolitical as possible. I don't really have a stance either way, and I'd rather rather, if I give equal airtime to candidates, if, you know, there are 4 people running for election, sure, you could each have either, and it'd have to all be the same. If you're just gonna put up 5 minutes of PSA, half-hour program, everyone gets that half hour, everyone gets that 5 minutes. If you put up one bulletin board message, all of, you know, the competing people for that elected position have equal rights to that as well.
And you just offer it to them, that doesn't mean they have to do it.
Right, the choice is theirs.
And it doesn't negate if somebody else wanted to do it.
It shouldn't, no, it shouldn't. It's just that the choice is there, and you give each candidate equal access to that time, you know, and hope for the best. I mean, in the past, I mean, I've been doing this for over 12 years now. You know, that has become an issue where one, you know, candidate A obviously took advantage of that, and candidate B was all upset because they didn't know, even though we sent them letters, emails, and even called them. So, I mean, it's entirely everyone's choice, you know, you take the opportunities presented to you. If you don't strike while the iron's hot, then, you know, you're not gonna forge a horseshoe. So.
Any
But
other
yeah,
questions,
that's it.
Sean?
I don't have questions, I just comment. I just had recent opportunity to be at one of your meetings with the Cable Advisory Committee, and I think the general public should know where you're located. I don't know if there's many people out there that know that you're at the
Oh.
Damon Tavern.
We're at 21 Mill Street.
And I think people, if they come in and take a tour, would be amazed at the studio, that they're almost complete. I think it'd be a welcome asset to the community. I hope people take advantage of it.
Well, that's what we're here for, so, yes. But thank you very much.
Anybody else?
Just from a constructive criticism point of view, just in relation to covering our meetings, again, people still complain about mostly the audio,
Right.
you know, and not so much with the school committee meetings, but with the selectmen's meetings. And,
Right.
Smaller rooms, smaller settings, their mics sit closer to them. I mean, I've taped these as close as they'll go, and sometimes they move, and sometimes they come untaped, so. And I just recently discovered, because, I mean, I'm only one set of eyes, but someone had actually unplugged that mic for a while. I don't know how long it was unplugged for. But it's not something like accidentally comes unplugged, and I'll say it at that, and I'll leave it at that, because there's like, if you look on.
They don't
the
like
actual,
sidewalks.
Like this mic, there's a little lock, and so you actually have to physically press that down and pull the 2 mic cables apart, so something happened, and it is what it is. I saw it.
Which one was it again? Was it?
right here.
Oh, it was Mr. O'Leary. Sure which one it was.
Well, we can understand that.
Well, we know the
Wouldn't have been
reason.
one of my colleagues over here.
You know?
No, it's not just specific, any specific mic,
Oh, yeah,
it's
no,
a
no,
general.
no. Again, it's-
The cables underneath sometimes are right under our feet.
Right,
Right.
well, I looked under there and I was kind of horrified, so that's one of the things I'm trying to change.
It's
There's
better
a
now.
cleaner way to wire that, and I'd really like to invest in that as well. I mean, it's not just a matter of getting like device A, device B, device C, it's also the cabling and the effort put into getting it all together, so, when we do have the proper funds, I'd really like to, again, invest into fixing some of these issues. I mean, you should have your own mic, Rick should have his own mic, you know, everyone should have their own mic, it's just,
I just, you know, there's actually a substantial portion of the population that does listen to these meetings, or watch them, maybe not live, but watch the reruns.
Oh,
And it's just,
absolutely.
those are just the recurring comments that I
yeah,
get
no, I
in
hear
relation
you,
to.
I hear you. And,
So I think, in relation to some of the services you provide, the public hearings, probably one of the biggest ones, and maybe we should focus on ensuring that at least the audio and visual aspects of those
Oh, yeah, I
components
mean,
work.
actually archiving some of the old meetings from like 2008 when we first started and they were terrible. I mean, like, screen would be yellow, at least you have the proper color coming through. I mean, these cameras are actually replacing cameras from those older cameras. I brought those in. And like I said, going to DVD, it's so better than that antique VCR that was in place. I mean, you'd have these crawling lines going across, and it was ridiculous. But then again, there was no money tree out behind, you know, the Damon Tavern for me to shake. I wish I could, because I'd definitely throw it all into the air and fix it all up. I mean, I'd do it all over the town. I'd have a better school committee meeting set up. But again, it's mainly money. It's money that we didn't quite have. We didn't have a solid infrastructure. I mean, what we inherited wasn't that good. You know, even this, and this is a shotgun mic. This isn't really even like a podium mic. This is something you'd actually use to get from the far end of a conference room. But it does the job for now. It's a temporary measure, and again, we'd like to improve upon things. So, but yeah, no, thank you.
Again, but I appreciate
Any
the
other
effort. I think the
comments?
programming is getting better. I think now that you've got a permanent home,
Yeah.
I think it's a
nice.
great,
It's nice.
great thing.
Yeah.
So, and I think it's a great tenant for the building too, which is